FudeHouse.
And sweetie sourdough.
Welcome to FudeHouse. I'm at Dickson's Farmstand Meats in NYC. Let's talk about beef short ribs. Where do they come from? Yeah, the ribs, okay. But let's break it down. The short ribs that you and I love come from what's called the rib plate, or sometimes more specifically called the short plate. Well, where's that? Look here, let's isolate it in the beef carcass. There are 13 ribs in a steer. First, let's separate the hind quarter from the forequarter, and that always happens between the 12th and 13th rib. Next, we split the forequarter in two. Now, this is where it gets tricky with butchers in different countries with varying standards and traditions. In America, some people split the forequarter between the 4th and 5th ribs, others between the 5th and 6th, and I'm sure there are even more variations therein. It's all about your final plans with the meat that you're cutting. In either case, we're left with an arm chuck there and a rib plate here. Now, this section here has a few cuts we all know and love. Ribeye steaks up here, and the extension of the brisket muscle down here, called the navel. Get rid of those, and we're left with the short ribs. Check it out. Here's the full beef plate. See? Ribeye here, and the same rib bones in the rib eye become the short ribs down here, and then into the navel muscle. Oh, and the skirt steak lives on the inside of the rib plate there. Okay, a lot of info, I know. This is how we isolate it in real life. Here we go. Split the rib section from the plate. Remove the skirt. When the rib bones end on the underbelly of the steer, find the cartilage and remove the navel. Edge it on the saw, and there, finally, are your short ribs. But that's just the beginning. Now the fun begins. How many different types of short ribs can we make from this? On this plate, we have 8 ribs, ribs number 5 through 12. Keep in mind that muscles change throughout the animal, so a short rib from this area won't look like a short rib from this area, but they will all be equally tasty. The only ribs you can't use are the last ribs closer to the top of the back. Don't worry, you'll never see these ribs in a butcher case for sale. There's just no good meat in them. It's all fat. They go to your compost or to add fat to ground beef or sausage. Let's cut our plate like this to make things easier on ourselves, no? This we save for tasty ground beef. This section makes gnarly looking ribs, but they are really flavorful. The most traditional style of beef short rib are what some people call English cut. Cut between the bones, maybe about 5 inches long, each rib has one bone with meat around it. This is English cut. And cut from this section, it's English cut too, but we get that quintessential short rib look, like this. But now if you cut across the bones, you get flanken cut short ribs. In this case, instead of just one big bone, each piece of meat has several small pieces of bone. See? They taste the same, it's just about style and presentation. Now there's a way we can take it even further. If we cut our flanken ribs very thinly and remove this top muscle here called the lifter, along with its silver skin and fat, we get something called kalbi, a traditional Korean cut that takes sugary marinades really well, caramelizes on the grill, and since it's cut pretty thin, it's pretty tender all things considered. It ends up tasting like meat candy. Crusty and caramelized, beefy and fatty. Cook it to well done, enjoy a really great tearing action as you eat it with your fingers. The best looking ribs around, the ones you have to use for flanken and kalbi and those picture-perfect English cut, come from ribs 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it's all because of this muscle here. If there's nothing else you take away from all this information, you have to know that this muscle is what makes your short ribs so awesome. It's called the serratus ventralis, quite possibly my favorite cut in the whole animal. Big beefy flavor and great intramuscular fat. This is the muscle that you love so much when you bite down into those beautifully braised short ribs. So, there it is, the plate. English cut, flanken cut, thin cut flanken, and the muscle that runs through it all, the serratus ventralis. For more information, talk to your local butcher. Check out dicksonsfarmstand.com, and for a cool Colombian recipe called sancocho featuring short ribs, check out Sweet y Salado.